Namaste nerds, Navanad Budget Pub Stomper with the Animar Deck Tech Part 2. We're just going to do some starting hands. This is going to be like a mulligan guide, and we're going to do a little bit of gold fishing and see how this thing runs. So far it's been pretty good in my testing. Let's just see how this one goes. Would we keep this? 4 lands is a lot, but we've got kind of everything else we want, sort of. Yeah, this is tough. Yeah, let's give it a shot. We're going to draw for turn. We're going to go turn 1. Birds of Paradise. Next turn. Turn 2 Animar, which is the main objective. And then we're going to go into our next turn. We're going to cast this guy. And this is going to put a +1 counter on Animar, just because you get a +1 counter on Animar anytime you cast a creature. But it's going to put another 1/1 counter because we're going to sacrifice this thing to put a +1 counter on target creature. So we get the 1 here, and then we'll crack it to get another. So now this guy's got 2 +1 counters on him. We can go like this, give him a counter. Like this, give him a counter. Okay, so he's all countered up now. He's got the 4 counters, which is all we really need for him. Guess at this point, and you know, we may have wanted to hold up interaction. Like we had this loose focus that we could have held up, but our goldfish opponent isn't going to be doing too much on turn 3, we'll say. Let's go to our next turn. Alright, and can we make, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different colors. Okay, so we can get our, there's a couple of ways we can get our 1 card win con going. Generally that 1 card win condition is going to be a just any way to get an Imperial Recruiter into play. I think so we could either do Muddle the Mixture and transmute that into Harvest. No, let's just do this. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to cast Bring to Light. And we're going to find, with Bring to Light, we're going to get our Imperial Recruiter. Now that Bring to Light does say that it casts this spell, so that is going to give Animar another counter. And our Imperial Recruiter is going to come into play. And it's going to find, we can either do like Phyrexian Metamorph and then Metamorph copy the Imperial Recruiter to get Spellseeker and then cast the Spellseeker for Neoform. We could do all of that if we needed to get more counters on Animar, but I don't know that there's a real good reason to not just do, just go directly to Spellseeker. Oops. So we're going to grab Spellseeker with our tutor, with our Imperial Recruiter. And then we're going to go 1 blue. So close. So close to being able to just end it right here. Let's see. We just are 1 blue mana shy. It's too bad, too bad. Is there any way around it? Am I missing anything? I don't think so. Maybe I am missing something. So maybe what I ought to have done or could have done is, instead of tapping that, I could have untapped this and retapped it, putting the -1 counter on this thing. No, that wouldn't have got us there. It's close. Does that get us there? No, I just think no matter how we slice it, we were 1 mana short. Well, let's just go to our next turn, and this way we'll be able to do it with protection as well. So now we're going to go blue mana for Spellseeker. Spellseeker is going to find Neoform. And then Neoform, we're going to Neoform our Spellseeker. And Neoform lets us search now for a 4 mana creature and put it into play. That's going to be Ancestral Statue. That goes directly onto the battlefield. Alright, and so Animar now gets another counter. So Animar's cost reducing by 6 mana. Ancestral Statue only costs 4 mana. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to use the Ancestral Statue's ETB that's bouncing a non-land permanent to bounce itself. And it doesn't cost any mana because it's being cost reduced with Animar, so we're going to cast it again. Bounce it. Cast it again. Bounce it. On and on until our Animar is a 4 billion, 4 billion. So it has 3,999,999,999 counters on it. And then with the last time we do this, we're going to bounce it one more time, cast it, bounce our Imperial Recruiter, tap a red mana, cast the Imperial Recruiter, and the Imperial Recruiter this time is going to find Walking Ballista. If we had done this a little bit differently, we'd have other options besides just the Walking Ballista, but this will definitely get the job done. With this thing having 1 billion counters on it, then this will come down with 500 million counters on it, and then we'll just ping the table dead. We could have put the Phyrexian Metamorph into the equation. Could have searched for the Phyrexian Metamorph with the Imperial Recruiter instead of the Spellseeker, then gone Phyrexian Metamorph, copying this, getting the Spellseeker, then doing the Spellseeker Neoform Ancestral Statue, and then we could use the thing to bounce. We could instead of bouncing the Imperial Recruiter to get the Walking Ballista, we could have bounced the Phyrexian Metamorph, and then we could have used Phyrexian Metamorph to grab Witty Roastmaster. And the reason is because then we would have had 1 extra red mana, so we could have tapped the red mana to cast our Witty Roastmaster, and kind of do the bounce over and over and over to kill everybody with Witty Roastmaster. Let's go again. Actually, we could... another thing we could have done, another line we had available to us if we didn't want to do all that, is we could have transmuted Muddle the Mixture into Impact Tremors. Cast the Impact Tremors and then do the Statue Dance and just kill everybody with the Witty Roastmaster, because Witty Roastmaster just says anytime a creature comes into play on your side, like when you play a creature, it pings target player for one damage. Let's do another one. Restart. Where is it? This looks fine. We'll keep it. We're going to draw for turn. So we've got some interaction. We've got a good line to get our turn 2 Animar, but we've got to be careful about how we do this. Like the my first instinct was just to cast the Elvish Mystic on turn 1, but if we had done that, it could have backfired because we don't have red mana currently. So what we need to do instead, to be safe, is cast the Wild Cantor, which can be sacrificed for a mana of any color instead of only being able to make green, so we can use this to make red. So we're kind of turning a green mana into a red mana next turn. Let's go to next turn. We're going to play our land. That's green-blue. Crack this for red. Turn 2 Animar. Next turn. Not happy to see that we didn't hit a land drop. That is kind of unfortunate. So how do we want to handle this? We've got no counters on this thing currently. So we'll just cast this to put a counter on this. Green, green. And then I think we just have to hold up our Dispel and pass the turn. And we naturally drew into our Ancestral Statue, which could kind of change the way we want to proceed. Really would have liked to hit that land, but it was not to be. This only has one counter on it. Like right now, what we really need to do is get counters on this. Is there any way to get there now? 1, 2, 3. No, I don't think so. So I think we just have to go like this, put a counter on this, like this, another counter. So now we're at 3 counters. We're just 1 counter shy of being able to get infinite counters. But unfortunately, well, I mean, at least we can hold up our mana for Dispel, and we can go to the next turn. There's finally probably a red mana. And now we just, let's see. I think the thing to do here is going to be tap a green, tap Fauna Shaman. I don't think we need this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. This would go mana positive, but we're going to need this to, well, we could discard this. I don't think it's going to matter here. In game, we probably, yeah, let's discard this. So we're going to discard this to search our library for a creature. And we're just going to go with Walking Ballista again. There's a line with Temur Sabertooth we could have used. Temur Sabertooth and Peregrine Drake would give us infinite mana. But we've already got the, well, and pumped Animar infinitely, but we've already got the Ancestral Statue, so I think we just go for Walking Ballista. And then we're going to cast our Walking Ballista for 1. Now this is something you want to keep in mind here, is like most of the time you don't cast the Walking Ballista until after you've done the statue dance, but we only have 3 counters on this. So we want to put this guy down with 1 counter on him, and that's going to give us our 4th counter, which is going to allow this thing to come into play for free, adding a counter and bouncing itself. Comes down for free, adds a counter, bounces itself. We're going to do that a billion times, pumping our Animar. And then on the 1,000,000,001th time, we're going to cast this to bounce this. And now that this thing has 1,000,000,000 counters, we can play this out with 500 million counters and burn the table down. Probably we didn't need the blue mana. Did we need blue mana for anything? No. So we more reasonably would have done this, so we can hold up a Dispel. Yeah, this is a pretty consistent deck. And if any of this stuff gets interrupted, we have backup win conditions. And just having a huge Animar, which is your commander, and does have protection, so it can get through. First of all, it's harder to remove, and second, it's harder to block, so you can just start deleting people one at a time. Let's go again. So yeah, it's pretty consistently winning on turn 4 or 5, and occasionally on turn 3. I'd say it's like average turn 5 deck, realistically. This is a little sketch. Green mana is pretty important, but we do have a line. Like, we've got most of a win in hand. I think I would definitely, on a first 7, I would mulligan this, but just because we haven't seen any of the backup lines yet, I'm going to play this out so that you see kind of one of your backup plans, what one of your backup plans might look like. So we'll go turn 1, Wild Cantor, next turn. Okay, turn 2, Animar, sack this for green. Next turn, I needed a land more than I needed that. Really need green mana, so that is a bit of a problem. But we'll go like this, and we'll run our Woody Roast Master out. And then we'll go to our next turn. Still no green flipping mana. So what we need is, we need a way to either get this Neoform going with the Fauna Shaman, or just at least get the Fauna Shaman going to get our backups. So I guess at this point we're kind of on the grind plan. And we would go 1, 2, 3, Grazilax, put a counter on this guy. Probably safe to swing with both of those. And you know what, maybe what we would have wanted to do is this, and just had the one colorless mana go to waste. And then we would draw 1, 2, draw 2 cards. And the reason I was saving that is because if we drew a green mana source, we would have wanted to play it, but we did not. Next turn. Okay, we are kind of boned here. We really need to hit green mana. And this deck has more green mana than anything else. Like I said, like that really realistically should have been a mulligan. Let's just get to a green land and jeez, oh Pete. I mean, I had the Simian Spirit Guide, but wow. The green mana, it were not meant to be. And we'll just shuffle this stuff back in. Yeah, so this is one of the problems of running a 3-color deck at $100 is you are going to occasionally run into mana and in particular land base inconsistencies. But this hasn't been too bad so far. Okay, well, let's say we find this. And we tap this for green. Put our Fauna Shaman into play. Get a counter for this guy. And then I guess we've got two options. We could just Neoform this into Imperial Recruiter and kind of do the line we did before. But the idea of keeping the sketchy hand in the first place was to show a different line, so we're not going to do that. We're going to wait until this thing doesn't have Summoning Sickness, and then we're going to do the other line. So let's say at this point we can really only attack with this guy. We might as well attack with this, because even if it gets blocked, we'll just bounce it back to our hand, which isn't the end of the world. It's 1 red mana, put another counter on Animar. Probably... let's just say we've got 2 that we can get through. We don't attack with Grazilax, and we draw 2. I'm going to be going to discard. Probably we're going to... maybe we can assume that we had to burn something out with an Abrade. Okay, and then we go to our next turn. Now the Summoning Sickness has worn off a Fauna Shaman. We play Thran Quarry, which is pretty much just another command tower in this deck. If you get board wiped, you've already lost the game anyway, and you've got counter magic. And your Autumn Veils and stuff to stop you from getting totally blown out. So what we really need here, and now we've got multiple ways to get there, but all we need to do is tap a green mana, tap the Fauna Shaman, discard a creature to search for a creature. And the creature we're going to find is Ancestral Statue. It goes to hand, close and shuffle. We've got 3 counters on Animar, so we'll need to pay 1 mana for the Ancestral Statue. When it comes into play, puts a counter on this and bounces itself. And now this has 4 counters. Oh, and it burns somebody, or burns everybody. So now that this thing is discounted to 0 mana, we can play it, bounce it, play it, bounce it, play it, bounce it, and kill everybody with the Woody Roast Master's trigger, which does 1 damage to each opponent whenever you cast a creature spell. So that's kind of it. But for now, I think that is going to do it. Until next time, may all your outs be lives and all your hands be the nuts, and East Side until I die. Word to your mothers. and namaste, homies.